Good afternoon, students, my dear viewers and respected colleagues. Dear students of class 9th, let me first of all refresh your mind what we were discussing during my last lecture series. We are talking about this electoral politics, and within the same, the last subtopic which I tried to cover up was this: what makes elections in my country democratic? I mean, what makes elections democratic in India? The first point which I highlighted there, that was the Independent Election Commission. Dear students, that was the Independent Election Commission. Independent Election Commission. The role of Independent Election Commission. How this Election Commission of India is constitutionally elected. There are provisions under the Constitution of India. If we talk about this appointment of the Election Commission, that's under Article 324 of the Constitution of India, that gives you the special provisions for the appointing the Chief Election Commissioner for India. And then I was trying to discuss with you people the role of the Chief Election Commission of India, how that tries to bring the transparency and accountability within the election process, within this whole election fray. Dear students, I was talking to you the recent Sunil Arora, the recent incumbent Chief Election Commission of India, headquarters established at New Delhi, and we do celebrate here this Voters' Day on the same day, on 25th Jan 1950. This day when this Chief Election Commission office was established at New Delhi, and the same day is now celebrated as a National Voters' Day. So the role of the Chief Election Commission, that how this Election Commission takes decisions on every aspect of to conduct and control the elections from the day of announcement until the date of declaration of the results. These things were discussed with you people length into breadth, that how from last 25 years so the Election Commission of India is so vigilant over every aspect of the election, how this rigging is, the average level of the rigging has been stopped now. People have pinned their faith in the democratic system, that election process are really the true representation of the people. It's a true and actual representation of the voiceless classes, where there is no rigging, where there is no the vacuum for transparency. The people are casting their votes in a free and fair atmosphere without any pulls and pressures over them. So it was a first step. It was the first statement which I pointed out, which I highlighted rather, that this how this Independent Election Commission body is there that's conducted the elections. Although it could not have been this Independent Election Commission, so the results will be completely vice versa. So we can't claim then that India is having the absolute type of the democratic system, and the nature of the election process democratic in originality. But now we are very grateful to the constitution makers of the Indian constitution, that who took this thing into their cognizance, that they have developed the sense that they did to have the provision under Article 324 that gives you this constitutional status to this election commissioner and make it the constitutional body. So it was a point number first. So dear students, that point number second is this that which I'm going to discuss with you people today. That's popular participation. Dear students, so now discussing the another way to check the quality of the election process is to see whether the people participate in the elections with great enthusiasm, or they show the lukewarm welcome to the elections. If the lukewarm welcome is shown by the people to the elections, then it indicates then their participation is nil. They show damn negligence towards the election process. But that's not the case when we talk about this Indian electoral process. So let's have a quick look at the screen. People's participation in elections is usually measured by the voters' turnout figures. Turnout indicates the percentage of eligible votes who actually cast their votes. Dear students, when we talk about the people's participation among the elections, it's rectified, it's highlighted by the complete turnout. That what's the complete turnout among the elections? Turnout indicates that the percentage of eligible voters who actually cast their votes. Means what is the total number of the voters among the voter lists, and which is the actual ratio out of which who are coming willingly, who are not reluctant to cast their votes, who come wholeheartedly to cast the votes on the day of election day, to cast their votes and to try to put the destiny of his or her leader among the EVM machines. So that's the actual turnout. If we talk about the last 50 years, there are students, there is a good calculation on it. If we talk about the last 50 years, the turnout in the European nations or the North Americans, that has been completely declined. The graph shows that the ratio has been completely declined now among the North American countries, among the European countries. But paradoxically speaking, in India, the turnout has either remained stable or actually it has gone up. It has gone up. But the concern here is to students why the turnout among the developed nations, or if we talk about the European nations, that has been amazingly that has been amazingly now declining day by day. But when we talk about India, the turnout has been increasing day by day. If we are going to bring a comparison between the statistics, then it reveals the actual nature. Then what is the turnout in when 1947 the first Lok Sabha election took place, and in 2019 when the last election of the Lok Sabha took place? Absolutely, the ratio and the figure goes up. It goes up to the mark, where it indicates then the turnout among the elections of India, the people's participation among the Indian elections, that's mass participation, that people from every nook and corner of the country, they're coming wholeheartedly and willingly, they're cast and they are showing their representation, they're casting their votes to their beloved leaders. So the students, there are different logics, different stories behind these narratives, why it's happening, why the American countries are now they are lagging behind in the actual figure, and India is moving forward. There is only one answer to this question. That's if you talk about India, the poor, illiterates and underprivileged people. The underprivileged people vote in the large proportion as compared to the rich and the privileged sections. Dear students, when they talk about the people who is casting the vote, the question is who is casting the vote? Is the literate one casting the vote or the illiterate one? Is the privileged casting their votes or underprivileged? These are the two ratios, these are two narratives which we need to analyze here politically. If you talk about the European nations, the people are highly educated. They show least importance and interest among the elections now. But if you talk about India, the people, the huge number of ratio of the population is under the below poverty line, and these people are casting these votes, whom we simply call the underprivileged classes, and the people who are the problematic, who are illiterates, who are downtrodden, who are living among the slums, and or these people are casting the votes. So this is the paradox between the two countries when we talk about the European nations and the India as a developing country. Dear students, when you talk about the United States of America, or you talk about this African American countries, African Americans, or you talk about Hispanics, there's a term, Hispanics, 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 means the people related to the Span or Spanish, whom we simply call Spanish, or the people belong to the Span, we call them Hispanics. So let's clear that doubt here. That's why I highlighted the point. That was the Spanish. We call them Hispanics. So if you talk about Americans, you talk about this African American countries or these Hispanics people, the votes, the poor people among these countries shows very much less participation among the elections than the people who are rich and the people who are white in color. It means that among the foreign countries, among the developing nations, the rich class, the privileged sections, the white sections, they show less or the least participation among the elections. But when you talk about this developing or underdeveloping nations, likely we are quoting the example of India. Dear students, if you are having the glance here to the screen, you are having the graph here, the airwise election distribution. I have here Googled. That's in 1952. You see the effective number of the part. It was here 1.5. When you talk about in 2009, so here you see how this the map has been touching here the level, the line that's at the peak. It indicates that the participation among the elections is mass participation. The parties are participating, the voters are participating as well. Dear students, The interest of the voters in election-related activities has been increasing over the years. During the years 2004, more than one-third voters took part in the campaign-related activities. If we talk about the figures in India, four elections, almost more than one-third voters took participation in the campaigning-related activities. More than half of the people identified themselves as being close to one or other political party. 1 out of every 7 voters is a member of the political party. If you are having the ratio, if you are having the fragmentation of the votes, we can see one out of the every 7 voters is a member of the political party. He or she is the member of any one political party. That means and the voters are not casting their votes in hue and cry. They are not casting their votes out of nothing. So the mind which have developed the idea, the thought process that's going on, that whom we are going to cast our votes. Our votes do have a value. Let's cast a vote to someone who is going to give or yield the best fruits for the nation. So that's why the voters in India are now mature voters, and it's the best inclination, it's the best sign and the healthy mark of the democracy, where the voters do understand the problems and they are going to address their problem, not by the violation, not by the agitations, but they are going to participate among the elections. The moment they took participate among the elections, they are going to replace the existing government, and the new government comes into the prominence. And the moment new government taking charge of this offices, they start run the administration. It indicates that's the healthy, wealthy sign for the nation and for the country as well. So, dear students, if we talk about this, common people in India attach to a lot of importance to the elections. They feel that through elections, they can bring pressure on the political parties to adopt policies and programs favorable to them. They also feel that their vote matters in the way things are run in the country. Exactly what I was saying to you. Right now that the people do have belief in the election system. They say that our votes can bring change. They are it's only by the votes, by the formation of the political party, they can put pressure on the existing system to implement all those schemes and policies which are lying there for the wealth, for the health, for the care of the country, for the benefit of the country, to make it more developed, to make it more prosperous, to boost the resource of the country, to exploit the human resource of the nation. That's what political parties are doing. When the common voters are going to pressurize them, they lay the foundation of the various pressure groups, and they force government every time to fulfill their demands on regular basis. If there will be no existence, if you don't availability of the political party, perhaps they do have this doubt among the minds of their minds that they can't fulfill those wishes and aspirations what they are expecting from the existing government. Dear students, so I was talking to you people that how this mass popular participation is an effective symbol which can highlight that the elections in India are democratic in nature, they are not non-democratic in nature. Now here a question arises, do you think that your vote makes a difference? The question here is, which I am highlighting here, dear students, the point is, do you think that the vote casted by the people, it makes a difference, or we can say that it's having no difference? So it's a source of the survey's National Election Study 2004. They have conducted a survey on it, that whether the vote cast by the people makes a difference, or it has no effect, or it is having any effect. So you are having here the view that 67% of the people they do believe that it has an effect. The people who cast their votes, they do have an effect. And there is a one ratio that's don't know. That's 15% of the people who are lying that they don't know whether it's having any impact or not. They are not of the opinion. 18% of people say that the vote cast by the people, that is having no impact. That's only the 18%. But the maximum that's here, 67% of people do believe, or this notion that it's having the effect that the vote cast by the people, the mass participation shown by the people among the elections, that's having definitely impact over the existing nature of this democratic politics of the country. So what at the moment we say that the democratic politics, the main ingredient of the democratic politics is electoral politics. Whenever electoral politics is not based on the norms that are democratic in nature, so we are having no right to claim that the India is having the mature, it's having this the progressive democratic system. So it's the most prerequisite element when we say that the popular participation, mass participation of the people, particularly among the developing country like that's India, that's amazingly high nowadays, that the people are casting their votes with wholeheartedly. There is no pull and pressure on it, and they are casting their votes to their favorite leaders, to their ideology that's accepted to them, to their motivated ideology, to the manifestos which they have read, and the voters shown a green signal to the on the voting day that they are going and among the lines, and they are casting their votes. So this was my second point today, to highlight that. After the Independent Election Commission of the country, that the most popular participation of the country, voters within the country, is the second point that highlights that the elections within the country are democratic in nature, and we do have absolute claim points to justify that the elections cast happening in India, they are not non-democratic, they are not biased, they are not rigged, they are not fraud, they are बिल्कुल हम ऐसा कह सकते हैं that elections conducted by the people, that's transparent, and they are fair, and the people are casting votes without any pressure. So this was all about today's talk. Hope you have enjoyed it. You have now kind of got the notion and the benefit of this short video what I was trying to discuss with you people. And inshallah, within a couple of days I will be back to you with certain new ideas regarding this electoral politics, how electoral politics is the main ingredient, main value which can say, by which we can say that Indian democratic system is Indian democracy is progressing, and it's a flourishing democracy. Until then, I will catch you back. I'll join you back. Take care and all the best.